So I recently read the Neon Genesis Evangelion manga in the Perfect Edition box set, and I wanted to give a quick review of that experience. So something which I really enjoy about this box set is that it gives a sense of getting the full experience, not only because of the more concise way in which they are done. Originally there were 14 volumes, which in the Perfect Edition are condensed into 7. They are done with these very nice cover illustrations, as well as this kind of muted and white color palette, which I really appreciate. They also give you some of these illustrations with the box set. The box set, I got it for 90 bucks on eBay used, which is an absolute steal considering that each one of these books goes for around 20 euros. So getting it for 90 for 7 books is very affordable, and you're getting a good deal. So this manga was originally started in 1994, a year before the anime came out, and ran for almost 20 years until 2013 for 14 volumes, or in this condensed version 7. You can already tell 20 years is a lot of time. So the expectations which I had in this series were quite high. However, I was pleasantly surprised because the story of Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is told in this manga, follows in general the same points. However, it does a lot of things correctly. One of the main things being that it does not stick to the anime too much. The first question I asked myself when I got this box set into my hands was, how are they going to convey the scenes in the anime, which are so heavily reliant on editing, like the elevator scene, very infamous, where a shot is held for a minute straight to build suspension, which obviously you can't do in black and white comic panels. And what this manga does well is that it does not kind of try to recreate that, but instead it uses the medium to its advantage. One such example would be the last fight scene, which takes place between Kaoru and Shinji in Central Dogma. In the original anime, they befriend each other, and then in the end Shinji has to kill him with his own hands while sitting in his mecha. And because he's befriended him beforehand, it's a very hard thing for him to do. It's a very tough decision to make. And to convey that, it holds this shot of him holding Kaoru, trying to muster up the courage to kill him for a minute straight, which builds an insane amount of tension and is, for me, one of the highlights of the series. And the way they do it in the book is that they don't build suspension through that, but instead introduce Kaworu's character a lot earlier to build their kind of relationship. And then in the scene where he kills him, he doesn't hold the shot of him squeezing the guy to death, but instead it's a more stylized version in which there's just an open field with them both in person standing there, and Shinji is strangling him with his own hands as a stand, in which I thought was done amazing, and I was really pleasantly surprised with that. I also like the character of Toji, which in the anime has a very tragic story where he goes from hating Shinji for piloting the Evangelion unit to becoming a pilot himself. However, this is not explored that much because Shinji doesn't find out that he pilots the Ava until he is injured and subsequently taken away. So we never get a talk from them to each other like we do in the manga. In the manga, there is this beautiful scene in which Toji kind of falls to his knees in front of Shinji and asks him for advice, and Shinji gives him some encouraging words, which is incredibly touching, especially knowing what's gonna happen later, and that was very nicely done. That's just one of these examples in which the manga really shines through. Now, I don't want to sit here all day, again, talking about every little detail, which I very realistically could. Instead, I want to get into the actual art within the series of books. A lot of these panels I found really, really impressive, both in the way that they are inked and also in the shot compositions and all these little stylistic choices. For example, the flashback scenes or the introspective scenes are not as black and white, but instead have these light gray gradients and this kind of more ethereal vibe to them, whereas when a character is maybe getting surprised, they are not inked cleanly, but instead have a more sketchy look. So there's a certain level of mastery shown here, which is incredibly impressive, and it really shows the work that has been put into making this series for 20 years. The few card pages at the start of each book are also a testament to the time and work that has been put into creating this series, which just is a nice little bonus you get, and they are also quite nuanced and worth taking a look at. Now, art aside, something that the manga does very well in comparison to the anime is that it explains the plot points a lot better than the anime does. The anime is very infamous for being incredibly convoluted and at times close to indecipherable. For anyone that is not actively taking notes and investing every second into understanding what's going on in this story. So what this manga does very well is it kind of takes your hand and guides you through the story a little bit better. It explains the motivations of the characters and gives the characters just that little bit more nuance. And that is something which I've come to really appreciate with this book and makes it worth reading, especially if you've watched the anime before, and it helps you get a deeper understanding of the story that lies beneath it.